Hey guys, welcome back to City of Champions, episode 3. And you can see we're going to start with the Minnesota Twins. It was an up and down year for our 4 teams. We saw some growth. A couple of teams took some step backwards, including our Minnesota Twins. So hopefully next season will be a little bit better for us. No other way to put it. But so we finished this season 92-70. We finished 5 games out of first place. The Cleveland Indians won 97 games this season, so you can see they were really good. We couldn't get it going. I don't think we were in first place at all this year, and we had to battle for the postseason. We ended up making the playoffs, and then we lost in the. I think we lost in the first round, right? Oh, come on. Yeah, we lost to the Indians in the division series. So, made the World Series the last 2 years. This year, get knocked out in the division series. Let's take a look at some of the changes we made over the course of the season. So, you can see we got Paul Goldschmidt. We added him last offseason. Back on the 21st of December, we traded Josh Fleming, who had been pretty successful for us and who had a really good year with St. Louis. Traded him to the Cardinals in exchange, for Paul Goldschmidt. And Goldie had a good year. 281, 23 home runs, 103 runs knocked in. He's a free agent. We likely won't re-sign him just because of his demand, but it was a good trade for us. It worked out pretty well. He had a good season. Fleming had a good season, so both teams are happy with that one. Tyler Mahle, is it Mahle or Mahle? We signed him as a free agent, and it's just a great contract. 6 years, $62 million, 9 this year, 9.6 this year, 9.9 next, and then 4 years at 10.8. We have a team option in 2028, and he was quite good. Only won 9 games, but put up almost 4 WAR, 203 strikeouts, and 166 innings. Missed a little bit of time with injury, but he was really, really good. Let's just start with our pitching. DeGrom had another great season, 16-7, 250 strikeouts, 6.9 WAR. His ratings are starting to slip. You can see these last couple years of this contract are going to be tough, I think, as that stuff is disappearing. But if the movement and control remain and he loses his stuff and he ends up being a soft tosser the last couple of years, that's fine. We talked about Mahle. Angel Salgado was an international free agent. We signed him to a 3-year, $18 million contract. He was our closer this year, 107 Ks and 66 innings, put up 3.5 WAR as a reliever. Kumar Rocker had a pretty good second season, 10-9, 164 innings, 157 Ks, a 120 ERA plus, almost 3 WAR. Simeon Woods Richardson was our number 5 starter most of the year. He was fine as your 5 starter. Put up almost 3 WAR. I'll take it. Frankie Montas was awful. He won the Cy Young last year, led the American League in ERA, struck out over almost 230 batters. Things just fell apart for him this year. 11-13 with a 5.40. Just was awful. Then the rest of our bullpen didn't really change that much. Mitch Keller, as a reliever, has reinvented himself. He was really bad as a starter for us, but as a reliever, he's been terrific. 2 WAR each of the last 2 years. Austin Adams was fine. 1.5 WAR. Cantorino. We're going to continue to use him as a swing guy. He'll be our first option out of the bullpen if we get a starter that gets hurt. Tommy Conley. Didn't pitch much. He was hurt for part of the year, but was fine. Smelter and Cano were late season call-ups. Jimmy Nelson didn't have a great year for us. Neither did Cole Sands. But that's our pitching staff. So we're still set with DeGrom, Mahle, Rocker, Montas, and Woods Richardson as our 5 starters next year. So we don't need to do a whole lot there. Lineup-wise, Byron Buxton had another 30-100 season, 24 out of 25 stolen bases. He's been just unbelievable for us. 3 straight seasons of 30 home runs. He's been great. Kirilloff continues to hit the ball really, really well. Put up 4 wins this season. Luis Arraez continuing to do what he does, which is just hit 340. Doesn't play great defense, but his bat makes up for it. Rafael Devers took a significant step backwards this year. I mean, he had a decent season, 111 OPS plus, 800 OPS, 3 WAR. He was fine defensively. Power was down. Hopefully that's just an aberration. Jeffers, low average, but does a really nice job handling the staff. We talked about Goldschmidt. Arroyo had his best season by far, 22 home runs, 72 RBIs. The WAR, surprisingly, though, he must have been better defensively last year than he was this year, but set career highs in home runs, batting average, slugging. He was good for us. Jose Miranda was fine. I could probably find a replacement for him, but he was fine. A 1.5 WAR, 105 OPS plus. Royce Lewis got hurt and missed most of the season, and his ratings have stagnated because of that, so that sucks. He was having a really, really nice season for us. Hopefully he bounces back next season. That forced Nick Gordon into more playing time than what I would have liked. And you can see a 687 OPS and an 81 OPS plus shows that. We traded for Nick Ahmed during the season. He can't hit, but he's so good defensively. I wanted him in the lineup towards the end. Blake Hunt was a Rule 5 guy we picked up last year. He split time with Jeffers, and his hitting was fine. But again, defensive ratings for a catcher you can't beat. Celestino played more than I would have liked him to because of injury. And then Steer, Martin, and Contreras all got time. So I think we're going to be looking for a replacement for our first base replacement for Goldschmidt and or Miranda. We may bring Goldschmidt back if his demands aren't, because we still have a lot of money. If Goldschmidt's demands aren't that great, we may bring him back. It may be in our best interest to maybe find another pitcher in case DeGrom's ratings continue to drop. But if we can get one more year out of DeGrom, if that last year is a sunk cost, so be it. So that's pretty much where we are with the Twins. Still had, one of the best offenses and one of the best pitching staffs. We just have to tweak things a little bit and hope that we can stay healthy next season. So that is the Minnesota Twins. Let's now switch over to the Minnesota Wild, because this was not a good season. We absolutely things just fell apart for us. 34, 40, and 8 this year. And I decided to restart, and we made a handful of trades. We didn't really do anything in, transaction log. So if we go back to July of 2023, we traded up in the draft. Was this who we... No, this was... Yeah, we traded up in the draft. So let's quickly look at last year's draft. Well, I guess here we can go back and we can look. So we didn't really do much in free agency last year. We signed a Ryder Korzak, who was he was just a free agent, and we didn't have a lot of money to spend. So we traded Ryder Korzak. You can see, I'll show you the draft here in a minute. We'll just go through the deals that we made. So we traded up in the draft. We traded the Blackhawks, our first-round pick, Matt V. Guskov, and Servac Petrovsky for the Blackhawks' number 1 pick. I'll show you who we drafted here in a minute. We signed Ryder Korzak. We traded Marcus Foligno. I didn't want to trade him, but we needed to move the contract to the Montreal Canadiens for a pair of 5th-round picks. We traded Jared Spurgeon. The Kraken came to us offering us Ethan Phillips. This was truly just a salary dump. So we got out from underneath Spurgeon's contract, sent him to Seattle, and that really set the tone for how things were going to go this year. We signed Marco Rossi, Adam Beckman, Urho Vakanainen to contract extensions. We picked up Cole Caulfield off waivers from the Montreal Canadiens. He didn't play particularly well for us, only 2 goals in 21 games. But when someone like this is on waivers, I don't know why he was on waivers, but I am not going to complain. So we picked up Cole Caulfield off of waivers. And then the trade deadline came and things got funky. So We sent Matt Zuccarello to the Seattle Kraken for Ville Ottavainen, a 1.5 star, 3.5 star reliever defenseman. We sent Ryan Hartman to the Minnesota Wild for Derek Forbort in a second. Forbort's contract expires at the end of the season, so we pick up the second-round pick. We trade Joel Eriksson-Ek, and this was a big one. Joel Eriksson-Ek and a fourth-round pick to the Philadelphia Flyers for Reimer, a first and a second. Reimer's contract expires at the end of this season. Eriksson-Ek I liked, but you look at his, he had 73 points, 72 points, and then this year he was down to 21 and 56, was a -11. His game rating had dropped, and he was signed. His contract's like 6 years after this one. So Eriksson-Ek, a fourth for Van Riemsdyk, a first and a second. Forbort and Van Riemsdyk, their contracts both expire. We traded Kaapo Kähkönen to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Braden Holtby in a second. So we picked up a first and 3 seconds at the trade deadline. Holtby's contract expires at the end of the year as well. And those were all the moves we made. If we look at our depth chart, we traded up in the draft to get Mazden Leslie. We traded up. Mock had him predicted to be picked 14th. So we traded up to 13th, and we picked up Mazden Leslie, who is an offensive defenseman whose supplementary role is franchise player. 2.5 star, 3.5 star potential. You can see very, very good offensively, very physical. Defense is coming along. We'll probably sign him this year and have him be part of the team next year as a 19-year-old. Our number one pick a year ago, David Urasek, is coming along as well. Had a pretty good season in HC Bannock Sokolov. Another good offensive, good physical. So we may have a couple of those guys up next year. So yeah, we moved up in the draft to pick up another stud defenseman. Marco Kasper was he was our 5th round pick in 2022. Wow. Okay. He looks pretty good. Kuznetsov picked in the 2nd round of 2020. I wish there was a way to look at your previous drafts. I can't remember who my 2nd round pick was this past season. At any rate, we have kind of restocked the shelves here with some young talent. Wallstead and Jones will be our goaltending tandem next year, so we're going to be relying on a couple of young players, but they're both 4.5 star goalies. And then we've got some really nice talent down here. So we're rebuilding the farm system a little bit, trying to move on from some of these bad contracts. We have 2 firsts and 3 seconds in the upcoming draft to sort of restock the shelves. If we take a look, we missed the playoffs, of course, so we'll see where we stand in the lottery, but we were a one-line team this year. Kaprizov, Beckman, and Fiala were phenomenal. The rest of the team was terrible. Kaprizov, 89 points in 82 games, was down from last year across the board. Beckman, down as well, but still had a good year. Fiala was actually up. And hang on just a second, guys. All right, we're back. Sorry. So, yeah, we are a one-line team, Kaprizov, Beckman, and Fiala. So we're going to need to – we're really leaning on the kids starting next season. So next year we'll have Rossi and Korzak and Caulfield maybe on the second line, or Greenway, Korzak, and Caulfield, or Rossi. I don't know. We're going to be leaning on the kids next year. So next year could be kind of more of a repeat of this season, but financially – we're going to be in better position. You can see we have $16 million right now in cap space next season. So hopefully we will be in better shape next year. I'm excited about Caulfield. Surprised that he made it to waivers, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say. Goaltending-wise, Wallstead, was not particularly good, a 3.35 goals against and 900 save percentage. I think a lot of that has to do with the defense in front of him. Got a lot of kids, with the exception of Brodin, who aren't particularly good defensively. So hopefully with another year under their belt, they can improve and we can get to where we need to go. I mentioned Hunter Jones is going to be our secondary goalie. He had a really good year down in Iowa, 287 and a 913. We have Damon Hunt, who's still down there, 1.5 star, 3.5 star. Vili Otavainen, who we picked up in the deal, and Alexander Kovanov, who had 9 points in 44 games this season, still in Iowa, waiting to be called up as well. So that's kind of where we stand with the Minnesota Wild. It's the start of a rebuild, but it should be relatively quick with that top line as good as it is with Kaprizov, Beckman, and Fiala. We're in pretty good shape. We got a lot of young talent. We just need to wait for them to develop. So that is your Minnesota Wild update. Now let's take a look at the Minnesota Vikings, shall we? Pro Football. There we go. Minnesota Vikings. And we made the playoffs. And it was an interesting season for us because we lost our starting quarterback. You see, we went 9-7-1. We finished second in the NFC North. Still gave up a ton of points. And we can't get it done on the road. But we lost Kirk Cousins. He signed with... Who did he sign with? I don't remember who he signed with. But whoever he signed with won the Super Bowl. Was it Tampa Bay, I believe, that won the Super Bowl? Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Buffalo Bills 10-6 in just an awful Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins the winning quarterback. So he can't get it done with us in Minnesota, gets it done in Tampa. But that did, once we lost him, that caused us to have to find a new quarterback. And we did just that. We picked up a really good one, I think. We picked him up in a trade with the, was it Detroit? Yeah. He was drafted in 2022 in the 3rd round, the 9th overall pick by Detroit. He was then traded to us for Alexander Mattison. Mattison was really good, but he just wasn't playing at all behind Dalvin Cook. So we pick up Harold Reese, a 22-year-old out of Mississippi, threw for almost 3,800 yards as a rookie, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, pretty solid, and making almost nothing. So that's going to work out nicely for us. We also picked up Frank Drake, another rookie quarterback. We picked him up from, I believe it was Miami. We traded a 3rd and a 4th. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2022 as well. So we traded our 3rd in 2024 and a 2025 4th to the Dolphins for Frank Drake. And so we got a couple of young quarterbacks that can sort of battle it out. Reese had the better preseason, which is why he got the start, and he went on to have a great year for us. So yeah, we went 9-7. We lost in the first round of the playoffs. Let's go back and look real quick. So we lost 24-15 in the wild card game to the Vikings. We were without Dalvin Cook for the postseason, which is why we were also without our starting quarterback. We did have Reese, right. So we had Reese. We were without Cook. So yeah, it was we signed Kenyan Drake to a contract, and I believe we signed him to an extension. Yeah, we signed him to a 2-year extension as well, so he'll back up Dalvin Cook for the next 2 years. Let's look at our stats. I think one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to lower, and I'll show you guys this here now. So if you come up here and go to league options, I did this in one of my offline leagues and it seemed to work pretty well. I'm going to come into financials and I'm going to drop all of these maximums to give the teams more money to spend so that you don't have a crazy number of free agents available for $500K at the end of the year. So that's something that I will do before next season starts. Draft. Let's get our draft from last season. So I tried to trade up because there was a stud defensive end who was available. at number, I think he ended up going like 8th or something like that. I just couldn't trade up. We were picking, I think, 14th or 15th. So we settled, quote unquote, for OMAR SUMNER, a 22-year-old out of Oklahoma State, and all he did was have 12 sacks in his rookie campaign, 20 tackles for losses, 2 forced fumbles, 12 sacks, and a safety for OMAR SUMNER. He was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Our number 2 pick, who was our number 2 pick? We did not have a particularly good draft outside of that. Our number 2 pick was William Chaney, a 21-year-old linebacker out of Texas A&M. He didn't play at all this year. Our number 3 pick was a fullback, Gerald Still, 20-year-old, 76 overall. Yeah, it wasn't a particularly good draft. So Sumner was fantastic, but other than that, it was kind of meh. We did draft a punter, Robert Pate, in the 7th round. 103 punts, 43 inside the 20. So yeah, we're going to be looking. If we look at stats, so we talked about Reese, great year as the rookie, 87.8 rating, but 20 touchdowns, only 7 picks. Dalvin Cook with another great season. He was injured for part of the year, so KENYAN Drake got more carries than, I don't want to say I would have liked, because Drake was good as well, but it's 2,000 yards between Cook and Drake. Receiving, Justin Jefferson with another great season, 111 catches, 1,200 yards, only 6 touchdowns this year. Our tight end combo of Keen and Irv Smith, 140 receptions between the two of them, 5 touchdowns. Hugh Lewis was our first-round pick 2 years ago, or last year, I guess. Step backwards this year, didn't average 10 yards a catch. We didn't throw the ball downfield like at all. Jacoby Myers had an okay season. Dalvin Cook caught 28 passes out of the backfield. Gerald Still caught 27 passes as a fullback. We signed Will Fuller to fill out the roster. And that's the kind of thing I don't want. Like, I don't think Will Fuller should necessarily... Well, I guess he's only a 76, but... KENYAN Drake, for example, was available as a free agent midway through the season, and I want to avoid that. So I'm going to reduce the amount that these players can be signed for, because I don't want the AI throwing huge money at all of them, so that we have, so that the free agent, so again, we don't end up signing people for $500K. Mackenzie Alexander led us in tackles. Xavier Woods with 4 picks. Hunter Harrison Smith didn't have a single interception this year. Xavier Woods led us in picks with 4. Blake Lynch was he a free agent? No. I can't remember if we signed anybody in free agency. I don't believe we did. I don't believe we did. We may have. Let's look at our. Let's finish looking at this. So, Sumner and Hunter, our defensive ends, are just a force. 19 sacks between the two of them, so we're set there. We're going to need to pay attention to linebackers in the draft. I mean, we have Barr and Kendricks. Barr is really good. Kendricks is really good as well. So maybe defensive tackle. Yeah, we don't have great defensive tackles. We have Michael Pierce, who's really good. Oh, no, we're okay there, too, because we have Davlin Tomlinson as our other. So, we are pretty good on the front 4. We've got 2 really good linebackers in Kendricks and Barr. Our defensive secondary is pretty solid. Harrison Smith, Xavier Woods. Mackenzie Alexander is our top cornerback. Rasul Douglas is better in this than he is in real life. So maybe we try to get Harold Reese another receiver, a deep threat maybe. I mean, he's got 86 speed, but I'd like to, if I could find somebody with speed in the 90s, that would be great. Special teams, 1 kick return for a touchdown, Dalvin Cook. Robert Pate was our rookie punter. Young-Hoo Koo was okay as a kicker. So yeah, so that's how things went. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do in the draft. Maybe try to find again a deep threat for our young quarterback. Maybe shore up the defense a little bit more. Maybe shore up the defense. Our offensive line we got a couple of really good tackles in Ezra Cleveland and Brian O'Neill. Norman Torres was our first-round pick last year. I think one of these guys has been playing tackle this year, or guard this year. So we have 4 really good tackles, so I could potentially make one of them a guard. Garrett Bradbury is our center. Our tight end position is fine with Keen and Irv Smith. Wide receiver could be a target. Cornerback, maybe. Alexander and Douglas are both almost 30, so it might not be a bad idea to get a young player in there to help them. Again, we got Kendricks and Barr, so maybe finding a third linebacker. Although we have a couple of high 70s, so I don't want to go too nuts there. Defensive tackles, we have our 2 studs and then 2 backups. Same thing. No, we got Jordan Jenkins, who's I think we signed him, didn't we? Yeah, we signed him from Houston last year, and he didn't play. He played in every game. It was okay, I guess. Yeah, so maybe it's just finding the best player available. I don't really know. But I think we're in good shape with the Minnesota Vikings, 9-7-1. We made the playoffs for the first time, and we got the draft coming up. And last, but certainly not least, will be your Minnesota Timberwolves. And this was a bizarre season. So we finished 46-36, which is our best record. We made the playoffs again. We lost in the first round of the playoffs again. I can't advance. We lost in the first round of the playoffs. Let's see if we go here. No. Okay. Anyway, we lost in the first round of the playoffs. So last season, the draft came up, and what did we do last year in the draft? I can't even remember at this point. Doylan Bike was 2 years ago. First overall pick in 2022. So we picked up, okay, this is what we did. Troy Day and Devin Weber. So we had 2 first-round picks this year. One was the 9th. Yeah, 9th round pick, Troy Day. He is a pretty well-rounded player. Not great at anything, but pretty good inside. Good rebounder, good defensively. He averaged 9, 6, and 3 for us in his rookie campaign. And then Devin Weber was our other first-round pick. We took him with number 15 in the first round. He averaged 7, 3, and 2, averaged a steal and a half. Better scorer. Still not great, but better scorer. Very, very good defensively. So those were our 2 draft picks. The big free agent signing this year, and he's not there anymore. You'll see him here in a second. But the big free agent acquisition for us this past season was LeBron James. LeBron was he only asked for 1 year, and it was like a $16 million contract. So we signed LeBron James to a 1-year, $16 million contract, and he was fine. But I think he was keeping some of our young players from developing because he was taking a ton of shots because he's LeBron James. So we ended up trading him to the Boston Celtics, along with a second-round pick and KARL-ANTHONY for the Celtics' first-round pick in DeAndre Hunter. And the reason we did that was KARL-ANTHONY was fine for us, but I wanted to kind of give the reins to Bike. So LeBron a second and KARL-ANTHONY for DeAndre Hunter. And DeAndre Hunter is a stud defensively. So he was all NBA first team last year. So DeAndre Hunter, small forward, doesn't score a ton, 10.6 points, 5 rebounds a game, but 92 defensive ability, and he signed long term. So we now have a starting lineup next season right now of Doylan Beck, Anthony Edwards, DeAndre Hunter, Karl-Anthony Towns, and whoever we plug in as our power forward. It could be Alperen Sengun. It'd probably be Craig Norwood. He was the one who really took the biggest step backwards with LeBron. So right now our starting lineup is Bike, Edwards. Oh, that's right. Anthony Edwards out for 227 days. He tore his ACL, so he's not going to start the season next year with us. We'll end up with either Day or Weber as our shooting guard. So day one lineup will be Bike, either Day or Weber, Hunter, Norwood, KARL-ANTHONY, Towns. And we still haven't gotten to the part where we can DFA, or not DFA, but renounce rights to players. So we will have a little bit of money to play with in free agency. So those were the moves we made. So we ended up picking up another first-round pick, and the Celtics were terrible. So we will have a lottery pick. Celtics had the sixth worst record in the NBA, so we have an opportunity to pick up a high draft pick to go along with ours, which is kind of low 20s, I guess, 46 and 36. So two more draft picks coming in this season. Towns. Oh, KARL-ANTHONY Towns, a free agent. He won't talk to us. That's the other thing. He wants to wait for free agency. So hopefully we're just going to throw all of the money at him and try to get him to come back. But we will RFA, or not RFA, I keep saying RFA. We will renounce the rights to Jackson, Terrence Davis. Actually, I don't know. We may not do a whole lot in free agency this year other than bring back Towns and just kind of run with this team and see how it goes. We do obviously have to bring Towns back, though, or we may as well blow it up. So Towns this past season, 21 points, almost 11 rebounds, 3 assists. Not quite as good as he has been in the past, but still elite. Anthony Edwards, I don't know. I really like Anthony Edwards. Averaged almost 17 points a game. He's a potential 4.5-star player, averaging over 4 assists and 5 rebounds a game. But given his scoring and his inside shooting, I feel like he should shoot better than 36% from the field this year, 37 last year. I mean, this is what he is. He shoots in the high 30s. So I'm not thinking about moving on from him yet, but if that shooting doesn't improve, that might be something we consider. Alperen Sengun had another really good year for us off the bench. 12 points, 5 rebounds off the bench. Norwood slipped a little bit. Still shot threes at a really high level, but the numbers were down last season. Again, I think that's because LeBron. Bike, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.5 steals. He'll be our starting point guard next year. Hunter, we talked about. Day, we talked about. Weber, we talked about. McLaughlin and Vanderbilt were kind of our two big bench play. Our bench isn't particularly deep once you get beyond Day and Weber and Sengun. We go 8 deep. Towns, Edwards, Sengun, Norwood, Bike, Hunter, Day, and Weber. Once you get below that, I mean, McLaughlin isn't terrible. 96 ball handling. Vanderbilt isn't terrible either. 75 inside shooting, 77 defensive ability. Probably better than what I can get in free agency at those numbers, so we'll just sort of have to see. And I can always bring them back at higher numbers because they're my free agents. Kai Jones we signed. Good inside shooting, good defensive ability. So it's kind of where we are with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm going to next season, I'm counting on player development. I don't think, because we don't have a lot of contracts that are expiring. So if we lose Towns, this team could look very different next year. If we lose Towns, I think we move on from Hunter. If we lose Towns, the potential exists that we move on from Edwards and we just start from scratch. I would rather not. So it's all going to come down to what KARL-ANTHONY Towns decides to do. And that will be in the next episode. So that's it, guys. So we made the playoffs with the Timberwolves, 46 and 36 this year. Made the playoffs with the Twins, 92 and 70 for the third straight season. Made the playoffs with the Vikings, 9-7 and 1. And the Wild were the only team to not make the playoffs and really, truly take a significant step backwards. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. It's giving me a lot to do here in my spare time as I sit and watch TV at night and whatnot. I have a week's worth of games all lined up and ready to play now. So if there's anything you would like to see in this, let me know. I'm just kind of doing it off the cuff and just talking about things that pop into my mind. But if there's anything you would like to see, let me know. Otherwise, guys, I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.